Good day, everyone. Again, this is Myla T. Sarmiento. In this video, we will be identifying the skin and its structure, the difference of bones of the skeletal system, and the major muscle of the human being. Let's start with the skin. The skin is the only few millimeters thick but is the largest organ in the body. The average person's skin weighs to 10 pounds and has a surface area of almost 20 square feet. The skin performs many functions for the body. It prevents the entry of harmful organisms and cautions the body from the physical injury. It keeps water and salt from the seeping out of the body. The skin is also a sense organ. Hence, it is a receptor for heat, cold, touch, pressure, and pain. It is helps to control body temperature and gets rid of the certain waste through sweat. The skin is continuous with the mucous membrane lining the body surface. The integumentary system is formed by the skin and its structure. The skin has basically three layers: the epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis. The epidermis is the outermost layer of the skin, which provides a waterproof barrier create of our skin tone. The epidermis is the most superficial layer of the skin that covers almost the entire body of surface. It is rests upon and protect the deeper and thicker dermis layer of the skin. At the part of epidermis, we found this type of skin, namely thin skin and thick skin. The epidermis consists of a specific group of cells known as keratinocytes, which function to synthesize keratin, which is a long thread-like protein with a protected role. The dermis. Dermis is the deep layer of skin found under the epidermis. The dermis is mostly made of dense irregular connective tissue along with nervous tissue, blood, and blood vessels. It is much thicker than the epidermis and it gives the skin its strength and elasticity. The dermis contains blood and lymph vessels, nerves, and other structures, such as the hair follicles and the sweat glands. The dermis is made of two layers, the papillary layer and reticular layer, or the connective tissue that compose an interconnected maze of elastin and collagenous fiber produced by fib- fibrillars. The papillary layer is made of loose areolar connective tissue, which means the collagen and elastic fiber of this layer from the loose maze, while the reticular layer is composed of dense, irregular connective tissue. This layer is well vascularized and has a rich sensory and sympathetic nerve supply. The dermis is fundamentally made up of the fiber structure protein known as collagen. The dermis lies on subcutaneous tissue or panniculus which contain a small fat cell known as lipocyte. Hypodermis. The hypodermis serves to connect the skin to the underlying fascia of the bones and muscle. It is not strictly as a part of the skin, although the border between and dermis can be difficult to distinguish. The hypodermis consists of well-vascularized loose areolar connective tissue and adipocyte tissue, which function as mode of fat storage and provide insulation and cushioning for the integument. Hypodermis is the layer of loose connective tissue below the dermis. It is served as the flexible connection between the skin and the underlying muscle and bones as well as fat storage area. The color of our skin is created by special cells called melanocytes, which produce the pigment melanin. These melanocytes are located in epidermis part. Continues to the different parts, the different bones of the skeletal system. Skeletal system is the structural framework that support a body. It is also provide protection for the soft tissue and internal organ and serve as attachment for the body muscle that push again and is apply force, resulting in movement. Is composed of bones and cartilage by ligament to form a framework for the rest of the body tissue. There are two parts of the skeleton. The axial skeleton, this is bones along the axis of the body, including the skull, vertebral column, and rib cage, while the appendicular skeleton is appendages such as the upper and lower limb, pelvic girdle, and the shoulder girdle. The skeletal system support and protect the internal organs of the body. The front bone part of the skeletal is made up of skull, facial bone, collarbone, breastbone, and the ribs. The skull protects the brain while the breastbone and ribs enclose the lungs and heart. While the back part of the skeleton is the spinal column that gives the body strength and help maintain body posture. Bones cannot bend, but having movable joints where two bones meet allow flexibility. The ends of bones are covered by the smooth tissue called cartilage that protect bones from the wearing out. The synovial fluid is secreted by the membrane of the joint. They are the smooth movement of the bones that the joint possible, while the strong elastic fiber called ligaments hold the two bones of the joint together. Connective tissue linking the bones of muscle are called tendons, while those that join one muscle or another are called fascia. If there are movable joints, there are also immovable joint or fixed joint. There are three kinds of immovable joint. The pivot joint. This is located in wrists and turns such as the skull attachment to the spinal column. The hinge joint moves bone forward and backward such as those in knees and the elbow. And the ball and socket allow the greatest all-around movement for the hip and the shoulder. There are classification of bones, or different types of bones. And these are the long bone, short bone, flat bone, and irregular bone. Long bone, the long bone longer than they are wide include the femur, or the longest bone in the body, as well as relatively small bones in the finger. Long bones function to support the weight of the body and facilitate movement. Next is the short bone. Short Short bones are about as long as they are wide, located in the wrist and ankle joint. Short bone provides stability in someone movement. The flat bone. The flat bone, there are flat bone in the skull. The function of flat bone is to protect internal organs such as the brain, heart, and pelvic organs. Irregular bone. The irregular bone is very in shape and structure and therefore do not fit into any other cartilage. And lastly, the sesamoid bones. Sesamoid bones are bones embedded in tendons. These small round bones are commonly found in the tendons of the hands, knees, and feet. Sesamoid bones function to protect tendons from stress and wear. The major muscle of the human being. There are over 650 named skeletal muscles of the body, each of them serving distinct purpose in allowing people to move, bend, stretch, and laugh. This is the view of the muscle of our human. First is the masseter. The masseter runs from the temporal bones that form part of the side and base of the skull, the lower jaw. It is lifts the lower jaw to close the mouth. The masseter is the longest muscle in the body. Another is temporalis. The temporalis begin on two bones of the skull, at the front and at the side and base. It runs to the top of the lower jaw. Like the masseter, the temporalis help loose the mouth. Next is the bicep. The bicep truncheon runs from the shoulder to the elbow. It is attached to the shoulder blade and extends along the front surface of the upper arm bone. When the biceps contract, the arms bend the elbow. Notice that humorous sounds like humor. We call this area of the elbow the funny bone. Deltoid. The deltoid are the triangular muscle of the shoulder. The strongest point is the central section, which raises the arm sideways. The front and back part of the muscle raises the arm. Deltoid comes from the Greek word of deltoids, meaning shaped like a river or delta which triangular. Pectoralis major. The pectoralis major is the large fan-shaped muscle. It is covered much as the front upper chest, beginning at the breastbone, including the second to the sixth ribs. From there, the pectoralis major attached to the collarbone or the clavicle and converge on the upper arm bone. Just below the shoulder, this muscle moves the arm across the body. Adductor longus. The adductor longus is located on the inner thigh. Adductive means move to this muscle allow the thigh bone. The femur, to the move inward and to the side. Soles, located in the lower leg. The soles run from the lower leg bone to the heel. The soles muscle flexes the foot by moving the foot at the ankle. It is also helps circulation by pumping blood back up toward the head. There are three types of muscle found in the body: the cardiac, visceral, and skeletal. Each of them perform a specific function. The cardiac muscle. These are the muscles that run your heart, pumping blood throughout the body. It is an involuntary muscle that is automatic by nature and run on its own. The cardiac muscles are quite strong and built to last. While the visceral muscle, you find this muscle lining blood vessels, the intestines, and the stomach. They tend to be lung muscle, which are the weakest of the three types, sometimes called the smooth muscle. Their job is to move substances through the vessels, stomach, and intestinal tract. And lastly, the skeletal muscle. These are the only muscles which are involuntary control to help the body to move and keep the skeleton intact while performing various tasks.